Hey guys, it's Sandy. So I'm going to make some apple oatmeal cookies. I was getting ready to make these, so I just pulled out my camera so I can share this recipe with you. Now it's fall time. That means apples are in season, and that means they're bursting with flavor. Anytime you buy fruits and vegetables when they're in season, they're going to be so much more flavor to them. So apples are great right now. And this is an easy recipe. It's all made in one bowl. I've already got the oven preheated at 350 degrees because this comes together really quickly. This recipe has a lot of good ingredients in here, good flavors in here, so that whenever you're feeding your family, you can just feel good about what you're making. Now we're going to start with 2 cups of rolled oats. Now you'll see that these are an organic oat. I have learned that oats are sprayed with glyphosate, if I'm saying that word correctly. They have glyphosate in them. They are really bad for the body. So if you're using like Quaker oats, you think they're good, right? Except for they have the glyphosate on them. So now I just buy these right off of Amazon. Costco also carries this brand too. Comes in a big bag. It'll last you for quite some time. And they're very affordable for being organic oats. With all the chemicals they are putting on things now, we just got to watch what we're putting into our bodies. It's like they're poisoning our food. So to this, we're going to add 1 smashed banana. I actually have my bananas in the freezer, so I had to pull it out, defrost it, and then smash it up. So we're going to do 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Best to do it actually not over the bowl, so in case too much comes out. And I love this real salt. It comes from America, from an underground ancient seabed, so it's real sea salt, but it's not exposed to the elements as far as pollution in the air of regular sea salt. So I love that it comes from an underground bed. So 1 teaspoon of vanilla. This is real vanilla. The cap is equal to 1 teaspoon. I need 1/4 cup of oil, or you could use melted butter. I'm going to use avocado oil because then it doesn't have a taste. I don't want olive oil in there as far as that kind of a taste in my cookie, but I'm using avocado oil. You could use coconut oil, or you could use melted butter. To this, I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of maple syrup. You could add 4 tablespoons if you want them just a little bit sweeter. It does have the banana in there, and it was a ripe banana, so that banana gives the sweetness also. But you know the taste of your family. You know how sweet they like things. So maple syrup, you could also use honey. You could use agave syrup. I'm going to add 2 eggs. And these are pasteurized eggs. Like I said, all the stuff that's going in here is just full of nutrition for the body. I watch my grandkids tomorrow. It's my day to babysit, and they will love this sweet treat that then I know is really good for them. Now, as far as the apple, you can dice it up into really small chunks if you want to. So you got little chunks of apple in there. I'm actually going to grate mine just because it'll be easier to eat for the little ones. So I'm going to take the bigger pieces of skin and make sure and not put those in that didn't really grate. You know how they come off of the front of the grater. Then I'm going to take the rest of this and put my apple in here. And actually, I'm going to do 1 more tablespoon of maple syrup just because the apple that I'm using is not a real sweet apple. So if you're using something like a Honeycrisp or a Gala or something, you're going to have a lot more sweetness in yours. These are just a little bit of a tart apple, so I'm going to add that extra bit of maple syrup. And then the last thing I'm going to do is add some chopped nuts. Now, nuts are completely optional. I'm just going to add them because it even just gives that healthy fat and a little more nutrition in there. I like the nuts, and our grandkids like the nuts also, the pecans. So you can use whatever kind of nuts that you like. Walnuts would be really good in here too. And then about 1/4 of a cup, a little bit under that. And then just mix this together. And then you need to let it just sit for about 10 minutes. And the reason is you need those oats to kind of soak up that moisture. That way they're not dry. We don't want a dry cookie. Now these could be used as a breakfast. They could be used as a snack. You could have them just for a dessert. They're not super, super sweet, but they do have that bit of sweetness and then just lots of nutrients in here. Okay, I'll clean all this up while I let this sit. Then this is what it looks like. I'm just going to let this sit here just to get those oats just soak up a little bit of that moisture. This would be the perfect time to preheat your oven if you haven't already turned it on. I decided to go ahead and throw some dried cranberries in here too. Just gives it some more texture and also some color. You know, instead of nuts, if you didn't want nuts, you could even throw in some sesame seeds or pumpkin seeds. You know, leave it out, seeds and nuts altogether if you don't want them. You could put raisins in here if you wanted to. So there's a lot of options with this. So I want you to see the way that this looks. This is what you want it to look like. Whenever I have done this before, I dice the apple up really into small little tiny chunks, and it's not as watery. This, because I shredded it this time, was too watery. So I had to add another half cup of oats into here so it could kind of soak up that moisture. This is what you want it to look like as far as texture. So you just add the oats in until you need it. So 2 cups is what it calls for the recipe, but I did 2.5 cups. If I needed a little more, I would have put more in, but this is perfect now. Then either cover with parchment paper or you can grease your pan. So I have a 1/3 cup right here that I'm putting these down. These are good size cookies because if I'm going to use them as a breakfast cookie, I want them to be a good size. And just push it down a little bit. Now these are not going to spread out anymore, so they're just going to stay however you put them on here. So you can get the cookies kind of close together. Now the last thing I am going to do, you can just stick them in the oven just like this, but I'm going to add just a little bit of cinnamon and sugar on top because I love cinnamon and sugar. And this, I keep this bottle, I've had it for years and years, and I just add the cinnamon and sugar to it whenever it gets low. And I'm just adding a little bit of this sweetness right on the top. Okay, popping in the oven, 350 degrees for 15 minutes. I'll check them. So here they are out of the oven. Let them cool completely. Remove them from the pan. These are so good. I like them warm also. So you could eat these warm, just warm them up a little bit. Store these in the refrigerator. You could leave them on your counter for about 3 or 4 days, but then they need to go in the refrigerator so that they don't spoil. But the cranberries are a great addition. The cinnamon and sugar on top, really good cookies. You're going to eat these. They're going to taste good, but you're also going to feel good about the ingredients that go in them because it's so good for your body. Okay, you guys, that's all I have for now. Let me know in the comments if you make them. Until next time, I'm out.